first real vintage of Pico Maccario Barbera is 1995. Well, it's now a long time ago, but we're fairly new, we're fairly young. We used to be called in the United States the new kid in town. I remember, when I started in the business, 2001, Pico Maccario was on everybody's mouth as a new kid in town with Barbera. But a lot of things happened and a long path, and we succeed. It took 20, 25 years. We're now with a production of almost 500,000 bottles, one of the major producer of high-end quality Barbera, with some of the high-end single vineyards in Barolo. So you need to be constant, you need to work hard, you need to be there, you need to be fast.
Fascinating people with stories to share, fabulous wines and the best local foods to accompany them, and beautiful places to discover and visit. All of this and more on Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on the Italian Wine Podcast. Join me for a new episode every Tuesday. Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Today, I'm delighted to continue a special sub-series that highlights the winners of the prestigious 5StarWines competition that took place in April, just prior to Vinitaly 2025. Those wines that scored more than 90 points were awarded certificates and have been included in the 5StarWines 2025 book, while the very best wines in each category were singled out for special awards. Today we travel to Piedmont, to the wine hills of Langhe, to meet my guest Emiliano Morando, who is the export manager of the Pico Maccario Winery, whose wine Barolo Cannubi 2021 DOCG won the 5StarWines Best Red Wine Award with a score of 95 points. Congratulations, Emiliano, to you and to all at Pico Maccario. This is a fabulous achievement award. I was actually one of the judges, and I know how rigorous this competition is, with more than 2,000 wines submitted for tasting and judgment. So bravissimo to you all. Many thanks for being my guest. How are you today?
Grazie, Marc. Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. From Piedmont, we're located between the beautiful hills of Langhe and Monferrato. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Doing great, so ready for a great 30 minutes chat with you guys about our winery, about these beautiful wines, this beautiful region.
Great. Well, let's start with this beautiful region, Emiliano. Our listeners are located all around the world, and they may not know exactly where Langhe and Monferrato are, and I don't know exactly where Pico Maccario is. So take us to your world. Give us a visual description of where you are. I know you have one foot in two different wine zones between Monferrato and Langhe. So tell us where you are, and then we'll carry on with the story.
Absolutely. I like to do the geographical instruction most of the time. We are located in the west side of Italy. Piedmont is in the northwest side, facing France and the Alps. And Piedmont is always being divided in three main sub-region in terms of wine. We're talking about Monferrato with the capital of Asti, where most of the Moscato di Asti, the Barbera di Asti is located. Then we got the Langhe a little bit southeast, with the capital, of course, with Alba, with the white truffle, with Barolo, with some of the best villages in the area. And then we have a Roero that is on the right-hand side of the Fiume, of the river Tanaro. So these are the three main regions. Roero is, of course, land of Arnais. Most of the people would know this variety, white wine, and of course, Nebbiolo. Pico Maccario has been around for 35 years, and most of the vineyards are located in the Monferrato, in the border between Langhe and Monferrato, between the province of Asti and the province of Cuneo. We ran about 112 hectares in total. 80 of them, so it was the best and the biggest part of it, it's of course Barbera with the appellation DOCG di Asti. And then we run 12 hectares in the Langhe area with, of course, Nebbiolo grapes, primarily in the comune of Serralunga, almost 500 meters from sea level, the beautiful Cannubi hill, and of course the little brother, a little bit overshadowed sometimes, but great wine in Barbaresco in the village of Neive. So we are a Piedmontese, we are 100%, 360 degrees winery, with the vineyards run in both sub-region, 100% made and vinified in Monbaruzzo, this little village in the province of Asti, like I said, in the Monferrato Hills, so about 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers from the city of Asti and the capital of Nizza Monferrato for Barbera d'Asti.
Okay, that's a great description and a great overview that Pico Maccario has vineyards. And what did you say the name of the village is where the winery is?
Monbaruzzo.
Monbaruzzo.
Monbaruzzo is the capital of the Amaretti, is a DOP appellation for these little cookies made of liquor, and of course they're cookies, and they're well known.
Yes, these are the paper wrapped, the
Right,
ones that are paper wrapped. Yeah, lovely. There's so many rich gastronomic specialties in every small village in
correct.
Piedmont. You come across these wonderful things to eat. But of course, our subject is wine and wonderful wines. Now, before we dive more into the story of the Pico Maccario wines, tell me a little bit about yourself, Emiliano. Have you always been in the world of wine?
Well, yeah, that's what I've been doing the past 23 years. I was just back from Finland after an Erasmus program, and then the only one involved in the wine business was my grand uncle. That is, has been a great guy. Has been the founder of the Banfi winery in Tuscany with the
Oh
American
my,
Wheeler
wow. Yeah.
family. So, but yeah, long story short, I was just back from this amazing journey and experience in Finland. And I said, I want to work with export. I mean, I want to do something with the export using languages, and I like people around the world, new culture and everything. So he said, you know what? If you want, we need somebody to make photocopies over there. So I started at the age of 18, and then I started as a junior winemaker in an important winery based here in Piedmont, taking care of the Scandinavian market. And then little by little, I joined the rest of the team. I moved into other two wineries, and the last one as a family, of course. This is a real family with the Pico Maccario brothers. It's almost 10 years ago, because I said 8, but it's almost 10 years ago. So focusing on the export only worldwide. So there's no others in the winery taking care of our customers around the world. And that's beautiful because they're so different. So I work with the North American market, the European that is completely different, the Asian, been great in 2010 and 15, but then now it's a difficult side of the world with the Middle East. It's been great, even now with a bit of the troubles. But yeah, I've been 23 years in the wine business, primarily Piemonte and a little parenthesis in Toscana because of my grand uncle and Brunello.
Okay.
Well, that's back 15 years ago.
Okay. And where did you learn your perfect English?
It's not real both. It depends. First, well, I spent some times in Finland, but Finnish is not the real perfect English. And then I lived for a while in Carbondale, Southern Illinois.
Oh my.
And that was back in 2008. I was cooperating with an importer base in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was just across the river. So I was in Carbondale, University City. So I lived there for almost 2 years, back and forth. But and then again, U.S. market is so far is the biggest. Has always been the biggest for Piemonte, for Toscana. So a lot of travels, a lot of connections up there. And then I like languages, so I try to imitate. I try to do my best.
You speak very well. Now, Emiliano, I noticed as well, you're also a musician, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. That is my other thing. Yeah, I'm very proud because I've been a musician for what almost 40 years because I was 3 4 years old when I started play drums, and then in the past 8 years I'm more like vocals. So yeah, we just got the other month we got Italian official tribute band for Queen from
Oh,
England.
wow. Congratulations.
So we're
Amazing.
touring this summer until December. So easy peasy.
Great. I just wonder, is there a synergy do you find between wine and music? They're obviously two important aspects of your life.
Absolutely. I mean, the wine business is one of the sector. I mean, there's synergy with everything, with fashion, with sports, with music, with food, of course. It's the same, category. But yeah, it's easy to play with these two games. The wine,
Yeah.
the music. This is the bella vita at the end of the day. It's the dolce vita. So makes people happy. Share your emotion. I mean, there's a lot of wines around, a lot of music around. They're all good, and it's how you transfer, how you talk with people, how you play with people, how you show your wine with people. So there's a lot in common, and it depends, who is in the other side, who is your conversation with. And I always been trying to transfer emotions because that's just the first thing you need to self. First of all, you need to sell yourself, your culture, and your way of living. There's a lot in common. That I find.
Actually, I like that really linking wine and music through emotion. You're right. That's the key to both.
Absolutely. The end is like politics, wine. I like it. You don't like it. We need to talk about it. Let's discuss about it. Music is the same thing.
Yeah, sure. Now, Emiliano, let's go a little more deeper into the story of Pico Maccario. You say that you've been there close to 10 years now, and it's really being part of a family. Tell
Yeah.
us about the family. Tell us about the winery. Tell us about the philosophy of what you're trying to achieve with the wines.
Absolutely. I mean, the Pico Maccario brand as a brand has been around 35 years. I would say very young, from a certain point of view. I mean, if you look at some Barolo producers or Toscana producers that have been around for 6, 7, 8 generations
Or more.
or more, exactly. At the end of the day, we're one generation. I mean, as a brand. But the winery has been around for 3 generations since the Second World War, when most of the Piemontese producer used to drop their crops into cooperatives, you know. So I would say that in the 40s and 50s, most of our grapes were about 20, 22 hectares that time. We used to drop all the grapes into cooperatives. So we were not making wine, but we were selling grapes. That happened for the first and second generation. So with the grandfather and the father of Pico and Vitaliano, the two owners, until the 80s. The 80s, when the last generation came on board, Pico and Vitaliano. And I said, well, why selling? Why we're not going to make our own things, build our own facility? That means a lot of investment. You can imagine bottling line, tractors here and there. So that happened in the middle of the 80s, and we were ready. We were ready at the beginning of the 90s. Matter of fact, the first real vintage of Pico Maccario Barbera is 1995. Well, it's now a long time ago, but we're fairly new, we're fairly young. We used to be called in the United States the new kid in town. I remember, when I started in the business, 2001, Pico Maccario was on everybody's mouth as a new kid in town with Barbera. But a lot of things happened and a long path, and we succeed. It took 20, 25 years. We're now with a production of almost 500,000 bottles, one of the major producer of high-end quality Barbera, with some of the high-end single vineyards in Barolo. So you need to be constant, you need to work hard, you need to be there, you need to be fast. You can imagine today how the market is changing. It used to be every 6 months. Now direction change after every 3 weeks. You need to be prepared to respond of, not making the wine that people like. So tradition first. And that has been the philosophy for Pico Maccario, with tradition first, but with a touch of modernity. Thinking about a lot of things that happened in the past 15 years, I think we are a very special example of how you can succeed trying to talk with young generation and new generation of consumer. As everybody knows, the wine is decreasing. The consumption is decreasing versus spirits. So you need to be more attractive. You need to be more catchy. With your label, we have been the first one to make a Barolo Cannubi in a pencil gift pack in aluminum, for our retailers, for our wine lover. I don't know if you had a chance to look at our website. Our winery is surrounded by pencil poles, colored one in woods all over the vineyards. And more than 15 years ago, we created this packaging that looks like very elegant Pringles packaging, the chips, and is in aluminum. And it's a collection thing, is a gift box in aluminum that you put the bottle inside, and everyone has his dedicated one. Guess what? The sales of Barolo, that has always been for middle-aged people, I would say, something unreachable because too expensive, too gig wine, has been great because, the young people started to be attracted by, first of all, the catchy thing, and then with the real tradition of the wine. So approaching again the Nebbiolo world, the Barbera world.
That's really, really interesting. I like, the way you've explained how post-war the family were selling the grapes to the cooperatives, which is a story around Italy. And then a new generation with more forward thinking thought, well, yes, these wines are great. We can make this and bottle it under our own label. And the family have gone on from there. Let's have a brief overview before we go into detail about the award-winning wine. Let's just have a little brief overview. We've touched on it, of the range of wines, but from both Monferrato and
Yeah.
Langhe. Not the full range, but just to give us a flavor of what consumers, wine lovers, wine buyers around the world might be able to find when you're taking your wines around the world.
Absolutely. Pico Maccario has been, again, over 25 years, a Barbera specialist. Like I said at the beginning, it was the new kid in town because it was the first one to offer a Barbera with a balanced acidity. Because it was, back in the 80s and 70s, it was a slap on your face, but acidity was too high. So Pico was one of the first one to work together with Michele Chiarlo, with Braida, I mean, with other big
Hmm.
guru in the Barbera production to work on the pleasant side of the Barbera and the potential side of the Barbera. So I would say 80% of our production as a Barbera specialist is Barbera di Asti DOCG, with the biggest Barbera vineyard in Italy, with 54. So it's about 150 acres, single vineyard. So amazing, huge.
Wow, that's amazing. Where is that located, Emiliano?
In Monbaruzzo, I mean, next to the wine.
Okay, next to the winery. Wow. Okay.
I would say 80% of the production it's Barbera d'Asti, and that's our flagship, our business card all over the world. It's the first wine that we introduce in portfolio. Then for sure Nebbiolo, but as you will notice and our customers know, we work only with high-end single vineyards. So talking about Vignarionda in Serralunga, Serralunga di Alba, single vineyard, Cannubi Bosques. And then we got everything. Has all the wineries in Piemonte, a little bit of this and that, like in Moscato di Asti, small production. We got some Arnese in the Barbaresco vineyard. We got some international, because we grew up in the 90s with international. That was the time of the boom of the international variety, like Cab, Sauvignon Blanc, Viognier. Today, we're just working with just vine growing, a little bit of Viognier and a little bit of Sauvignon. They're getting old. That means beautiful white wines, a little bit of Cortese as indigenous. Then most of the indigenous they're gone, like Favorita, I mean Dolcetto. Those are gone throughout the years, and they've been replanted and replaced with Barbera and Nebbiolo. So that's a quick overview on our production. 80% is Barbera, about 10 plus percent Nebbiolo, and then a little percentage of Arnese, Moscato, and Cortese.
Okay, just to have some whites within your
Exactly.
range of wines. Okay, so it's a big range, but focused. And I'm very interested in the heart of it being the Barbera, which is one of my favorite grape varieties. But let's talk now. Let's move to your award winning wine. Cannubi, of course, is one of the most historic crus in the Barolo area. Can you tell us about this special MGA, and then tell us a little bit about the wine itself, because it's a great achievement. I was, as I say, one of the judges, and we tasted many red wines. We were all on different panels, and I don't think I was on the panel that was fortunate to taste this wine. But afterwards, the wines with the highest points are retasted times again by the best of the best judges that are overseeing the 5 Star Wines. And so to come out as the top best red wine is a huge achievement. Take us through this wine.
It's been an honor, and proud to be one of the over 35 producers of Cannubi and Cannubi Bosques. Well, Cannubi, located in Barolo, it's for sure the oldest on the planet single vineyard. We're talking about 1753, 1756. So it appeared on the Margaret wine list. Well, we're talking about the Kingdom of Italy. So one of the oldest, if not the first one in the world, single vineyard that appear in the book. So Cannubi is located on this beautiful hill in a perfect position. Is the confluence of two great tectonic plaques, so that have more than 1 million years difference one's in the other. That means that in the vineyard, you can find, shellfish, and you can find sand, you can find alpine stars. That means that soil is so unique because it's the confluence of two different era, Helvetian and Tortonian era. That means one side of the vineyard was the bottom of the ocean, and the other side of the vineyard was the top of the Alps, top of the mountains. That's why you have so a unique soil where you can find limestone, you can find clay, you can find sand. A beautiful and a perfect storm of characters that give birth to this beautiful, so different Barolo, compared to the others MGA in the area. You got this softness that seems, sugary. You got this big, blooming, this big fruity side. You got tannins, very elegant. So that's the beauty of Cannubi. Cannubi means connubio, together. Together these two soils from two different eras. Pico Maccario is a drop in the ocean, of course, in the Cannubi Bosques. So we are at the end of this beautiful hill, the pin side of of the Cannubi Hill. It's a drop in the ocean. We're talking about 5,000 in a good year scenario bottles with less than 3,000 meters. That means, I would say, one third of an hectare that we own and we run in the Barolo Cannubi Bosques vineyard. And the other great thing is that Pico Maccario, located in Monferrato, is one of the few producer with the, I would say, the historical license to own vineyards in Barolo and Barbaresco, the OCG area, but we vinify and wine make outside it. So that is something that we call historical license. Since we were making and we were, producing grapes, we were selling grapes at that time before 1966 when Barolo became DOCG, control and guarantee. Today, there is no way to buy a vineyard in Barolo if you don't have the winery and the facility in Barolo. So that is the other additional value for Pico Maccario.
I was going to ask you about that. Oh, that's very interesting. So it's an historic right that's been granted to Pico Maccario because of the historic situation.
Yes, we are 16 at the moment that we were making Barolo or producing grapes of Barolo before 1966 without having the winery there, without having the barrels, the aging process in the Barolo and Barbaresco DOCG. Today is so restricted. There's no way to get any license, or I mean, even if you got a million in your pockets, they're not going to enlarge or to increase the area to other producer. And that, we're proud about that. We're proud about that to be part of in a small way. Like I said, we are a drop in the ocean with this amazing appellation. Is the appellation for Barolo.
You've described that very well. You've described the vineyard. Let me just share what the judges said in their tasting note, and you can confirm whether you agree with this. The judges, who were very, very impressed, said, "Find classic tar and roses Barolo with very precise aromas of red petals, raspberry, red cherry, cinnamon, and nutmeg spices. Classic in its tightly woven structure. There is the backbone of typical Nebbiolos, fine-grained tannins supported by acidity and ripeness, long, complex, and built to last." Is that a fair description, Emiliano?
It's a super fair description, and it's a kind of unusual description for a generic Barolo. Barolo, it's always, I would say, unbalanced between at the beginning, especially when it's young, when you got a very high tannin and something is missing. Sometimes it's missing the fruit, is missing the rose petal, I mean, the violet side, the elegant side. And that's because most of the Barolo needs a lot of time, needs about 6-7 years to show beauty and all the spices. Cannubi has his own character from day one, as fruit, as cherry, has balanced acidity, very fine and refined tannin. So it's always, this powder of sugar on the top is always pleasant since you drink the first glass from day one. And imagine when it's developed, when you reach the peak up 10, 15 years. So it's a unique wine. It's the Barolo of the Barolo.
Yeah, I was very impressed that this is the 2021 vintage. So as
Very
you
young,
say, Emiliano, very young,
released in January.
but drinking beautifully. Okay, and just to be clear, only 5,000 bottles of this special wine made. And I know this is your job, is taking this wine around the world. So people will be able to find this in select markets around the world in this distinctive pencil cylinder.
Only. It's sold, well, a couple of markets. It depends where, like in Norway, is it legal to sell wine in a pencil gift? So all over the world is sold in this golden pencil with a golden pin on the top. Other markets is sold in a wooden case only. Each bottle is numbered, wrapped on its own paper. It's, of course, it's an eye hand animal, and we like to stay as we are. With a small production, there's no way to increase. Most of the time, we lose 10%, 8% of the production because Mother Nature today is here with the bill back to us. So it's very brutal, losing a lot of the crops, especially in Barolo with hail and everything. So that is for sure our flagship, and we stay small. We want to stay small with Cannubi. With Cannubi Bosques, I would say that's another story. Is the end of the fin of the hill.
Okay. Now let's turn to the gastronomy of Le Langhe and maybe also of Monferrato. I know there's some differences, a similar
Yes.
cuisine, but let's talk about some of the the specialties, the piatti tipici, that for somebody visiting, they really must sample some of these wonderful dishes. And which of the Pico Maccario wines would pair best with them? Just give us a few, please, just to give a flavor of the land.
Well, we're in Piemonte, and it doesn't matter if it's Asti or Alba. We got a lot in common, and it's a matter of how you present, how you show the dishes. But at the end, we always start with a beautiful carne cruda, with this raw meat, the battuta al coltello, cut it with a knife. In Alba, they like to do like a tartare. We do like a bigger chunk of carne cruda. That works perfectly with some of the fresh barbera that you can also serve a little bit chilled, especially in this era when it how you have very very hot winter time. I mean, there's no winter anymore. So I would say the beauty of Barbera is the versatility, and with dishes like carne cruda with a lot of bagna cauda, that's another antipasti for most of the Piemontesi.
Oh, one of my favorite things. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the bagna cauda, this beautiful sauce made of tons of garlic. I mean, you need a couple of days off after that, but that's beauty. We used to make this. We used to make since the early days this bagna cauda sauce made of olive oil with anchovies, with garlic, and it cooked for hours and hours. We're talking about 4 or 5 hours on the stove, and then fresh vegetables, and you deep like a bourguignon. You deep this fresh vegetables in it, and then we got asparagus. This is the DOP area for green asparagus, not the white one. Those are beautiful with a shave on the top of, summertime. A little bit of black truffle, what we call tartufo estivo, the black truffle, cheaper, 30, 35 euros per 100 grams. So that's, you can afford.
As opposed to 4,000.
Exactly.
4,000 per kilo. That's right.
Exactly. Then when we reach the fall time in October, November, December, now sometimes until January, we got some of the most beautiful white truffle. But then, like you said, it goes up to 10 times, 15, 20 times more. So that's another big thing in the area.
Would you have your Barolo with the Tartufo Bianco, and on what would you shave the truffles on?
When it comes to Cannubi Boschis, believe me, most of the Barolo drinker, I heard the same story everywhere. When they start to approach Barolo, it was difficult because too tannic. So you need to educate your palate to the tannins. But when it comes to Barolo, Cannubi, most of them they say, "Oh, that's easy. It's so pleasant. You can drink it as
Mm.
by the glass. You can start with by the glass Barolo Cannubi, especially when it's young, because you got this fruit, not too sharp tannins, but then when it comes to an aged Barolo, I would go throughout the meal. I would go for the carne cruda. I would go for the asparagus with an egg on the top, nice yolk on the top, shave of white truffle. I would go for the ravioli al plain. Ravioli al plain, this unmade pasta stuffed with meat, with the three meats that you can find in Alba in a way, in Asti in another way. In the Asti district, you find a squared ravioli, so they're a little bit
Oh,
bigger.
okay.
In Alba, you find a little one. They're bigger like a penny. And again, you can play with everything you want. With a fondue on the top, you can have with butter and sage. I mean, Barolo, the beauty of Barolo is that with acidity and tannins can face a fat side of the food. So with a nice tagliata as well. Think about the bollito misto. That's beautiful.
Mm.
With a nice nebbiolo, with a nice Barolo. This, beautiful selection of part of the cow we call mixed boiled meat that you serve with sauces, with different things. Piemonte is beautiful from that side. It has million antipasti that you can play with Nebbiolo. But for my personal taste, Barolo goes with something saucy, little bit fat, thanks to the tannins. You can drop the glass and have another glass, clean your mouth. While with Barbera, that is more simple, I would go for more simple and fresh stuff. So even like a chicken salad that we do a lot, like a rabbit salad, cold with mixed vegetables. But the beauty again of Cannubi is that it's an easy drinking side of Nebbiolo because it's not, like I said, too sharp in tannins. And when it's getting older, all these beautiful spices will show you the potential of this grape.
Okay, well, that is a brilliant overview of some of the great specialties of Le Langhe and Monferrato, of Alba and Asti, which is one of the most exciting gastronomic areas in Italy for anybody to visit. And what I liked about that overview was you also took us through the seasons, the summer season of asparagus, moving to autumn with the bagna cauda, and the winter with the bollito misto, and of course the white truffles from October to the end of December. So that's a really, really good overview. Now, final question, Emiliano. What about hospitality at Pico Maccario? I'm sure our listeners are really eager to visit the area, having heard you speak about it, and to try this wonderful Cannubi. Can they visit? And what do you offer?
Yep, absolutely. Well, the winery since day one has always been open to visitor. This is the wine and food touristic area. There's nothing else. There's no Pisa Tower or Colosseum to see. So people that are coming for a specific reason, they want to drink well, they want to eat well, they want to have an experience, and that's what we do every day from Monday into Friday, and then during the springtime, Easter time, and then again from October until December, we opened visitor for the weekend. We do wine tasting at the winery, visit of the winery, of the vineyards. That's beautiful because also in September, we allow people to do their picnic, their own picnic. They buy wine and they go in our vineyards to share with friends this picnic experience. And then we got a lot of restaurants around us, of course, a lot of beds. Just itself, the village of Monbaruzzo is more than 220 beds available.
Oh, my.
We are always been thinking about, but well, back in the old days, we thought, oh, that's not our business. It's a total different business, hospitality. So we thought, I mean, we're not gonna have, beds or a B&B. But we changed our mind last year, and that's what we're working. We're working on our own B&B inside, because hospitality is becoming very, very important. Working on hospitality inside with 8 beds B&B. We'll have our own shop and wine tasting room, a bigger one, more like, for an aperitivo or for people they can come also in the evening time, not only during the, let's say, office time in the afternoon or in the morning or in the weekend. So they can come, they can spend time overnight there. And we'll have also probably a restaurant inside of the winery by the end of 2026.
Okay, well, that's great. I think that is by far the best way for somebody to really experience an area, a wine producer, the foods, is to stay in the area, to stay on a wine estate. And so
Yeah.
you'll soon be having that all available. Well, that's brilliant. You've given us a great overview of Pico Maccario and also of this very special award-winning Barolo Cannubi. So thank you again for being my guest. Congratulations to all of you at Pico Maccario again for this fabulous award. And I hope to visit you myself sometime soon when I'm next in the area. Grazie mille.
Grazie mille a te, Mark. It's been a pleasure to share with you all this. You're all welcome. People listening, we're open, and just Google it. Just find Pico Maccario. You will find a way on it.
Great. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you again, Emiliano. Buona giornata.
Buona giornata e buon weekend. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
A presto.
We hope today's episode of Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on the Italian Wine Podcast has transported you to somewhere special. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your pods. Likewise, you can visit us at italianwinepodcast.com. Until next time, chin chin.